Here's what you got. A present. This is a present, people. This is a present. This is a test. 50-point test. Tuesday. Not today. Next Tuesday. Okay? And anything that's in this box will be on your test. Okay? And here's what I'm going to teach you how to do. Derive the quadratic formula. Derive. D-E-R-I-V-E. Derive the quadratic formula. Okay? So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another page and I'm going to see if you know the quadratic formula. I know there's a little song that some of you learned, but I'm not a singer. Okay?
Is it A plus square root of 2?
So you don't even know the song. So,
I haven't heard the song. Square root of B squared minus 4 is easier than over. Oh, and you were like,
okay. Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to tell you a story and try to teach you how to remember the quadratic formula. Okay? There was a negative boy who was kind of iffy. He went to a radical party where there was square dancing, and he missed out on 4 awesome chicks. And it was all over at 2 a.m. Okay, so the most common mistake that I see kids make is they'll write 6, because you said that, right? 2 a.m. And then they'll go, oh, that's not supposed to be there. And they'll erase it, okay? Another mistake that I see kids make is notice the words that we use. It's a radical party in the 7 4 awesome chicks, and it was all over. So do not just put that over the 2A. It was all over at 2 a.m. So you have to put it all over the 2A. Okay? Don't ever see anybody do, even though you know it's a radical party that square dancing there. Okay? But nobody ever goes, wait, it's B squared. It's not dancing, it's a D. But nobody ever does that. So that you need to know that formula. Okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to derive that from this. Come on, Keith. I'm going to give you this equation, and then you are going to get that for S. Okay? Alright, so now, anything that's in this box will be on your test. Okay? You want to know what your test is going to look like? Y'all want to know? That's what your test is going to look like. I'm going to give you a blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to say, derive the quadratic formula. And you have to do it verbatim. That means, like, normally, it really means word for word, but here it's going to be letter for letter. It has to be exactly like I give it to you. Okay? It's going to be 6 lines long. Each line's worth 8 points. And there's an extra 2 points in there. I'll show you where it is. Okay, so, here's what you start off with. Just the standard form equation. AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0. This is how you derive the quadratic formula. We're going to complete the square on this thing, guys. You know you can't complete the square unless the coefficient of this quadratic term or this x squared term is 1. So the first thing I want to do is I want to divide everybody by A so that I can get rid of that and make that a 1. Okay? Now, what's AX squared over A? What happens to your A? They cancel out and you just got x squared. Alright, right here you have B over A times x. Plus, what's this going to be? B over A is equal to, what's 0 over A? Yeah, 0 0 over anything is what? 0. So that's just 0. All right. So now you want to think about completing the square. Now that I have a 1 for a coefficient of this quadratic term right here, then I can just complete the square on it. So tell me what you do. What are we supposed to do now? Who's the constant, guys? Yeah, there's the constant. It's just a number. It doesn't have any x's on it. Okay, so it's just a plain old number. So we're going to pull him over on this side. Now look, you can memorize this thing, but if you kind of have an idea of what's going on, it's going to be a whole lot easier to derive this quadratic formula if you have some inkling about what's going on. All right, everybody okay? Now, how do I complete the square? What do I do? All right, take half of this. Now, since it's a fraction, instead of thinking about dividing it by 2, what else can I do? Multiply by 1/2. Very good. So I'm going to do it up here. Now, if it's outside my box, is it going to be on my text? I'm not grading this part out here, but it's going to be helpful to me, okay? So I'm writing it down. So I'm going to multiply it by 1/2, which is the same thing as dividing by 2. So I'm taking half of that middle term. When you multiply fractions, remember, you multiply top times top and bottom times bottom, right? That thing didn't one time last time. Okay. So when you multiply fractions, still in there. Wait, I think I'm going to have to reconnect it. I think it might have. Let me make sure. It might have done this. Alright. So, top times top, bottom times bottom. So, what's B times 1? B. What's A times 2? 2A. So, what I have up here is B over 2A. Now what are you supposed to do with it? Square it. And then we add it to both sides. Y'all remember this? Please tell me you remember this. You have a test on it tomorrow. Okay? Alright, so square the top and what do you get? Square the bottom and be really careful. What do you get? 4A squared. Very good. Got to square the 2 and the A. 4A squared. So if you had B squared over 4A squared on one side, what do you have to do? Add it on the other side. Now, am I doing the same thing that you learned how to do when you solved by completing the square? Okay? The only thing that's weird is that instead of numbers, and that's being able to pull it down and work with just numbers, it's just letters. But it's still the same thing. Now, what do I do with this side? Yeah, you write it as a quantity square. Okay? Remember, it's square root of the first. What is that? Keep the sign, plus square root of the last. There it is, people. That's why I write it up there. Okay? So it's square root of the last is going to be B over 2A, which is also half of this term. Remember? Equal. Now, if I want to collect these two right here, what do I have to have? A common denominator. All right. What is a common denominator between A and 4A squared? It's 4A squared. Okay? Now, let me tell you, because this has been a little problem for some people. A lot of people have said 4A. And I'm like, no. Look, what's the common denominator between 2 and 6? 6. You can't make something smaller, can you? See what I'm saying? You can't make this into a 4A. I have to make this into an A squared, a 4A squared. Okay? So think about it like that. Now, what do I multiply A by to get a 4A squared? 4 what?
4A squared.
No. That'd be A 4A cubed. Just 4A. Oh. is 4a. See, I got a 4 times 1 is 4, and 8 times a is a squared. Whatever you multiply the bottom by, what? Very good. So I'm going to multiply the top by 4a. Now, see what I got. What's 4a times negative c? Negative 4ac. Perfect. Okay, this is already over a 4a squared, people, so you just write it down. Plus b squared. Okay, now what do I do? Yeah, square root both sides. Perfect. All right, on the left, what happens to that radical and that square? Oh, thank you so much.
What would you like?
What you might say is fine.
How much is it? Only the top.
Only the top. Okay, just put them on that desk and I'll put them on that. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much.
Can you follow?
Mm-hmm.
I got him here.
You got this today? Oh, really? All right, so these cancel each other out, and you're left with x plus b over 2a is equal to, on the right-hand side, what should be the first thing that you write down? Plus or minus. Very good. Now, does this radical go all the way down? Yes. Yes, it does. So what's the square root of 4a squared? 2a. So 2a on the bottom, and on the top, you have the square root of, and notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch the order up here. I'm going to write b squared minus 4ac. Oh, that's that little square dancing, and he missed out on 4 off the chip. Okay? B squared minus 4ac. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I told you if you were completing a square and you had a fraction, when you took the square root, you would always end up with that common denominator. And there it is. Okay? So, what's x equal to? We're just going to move this over there. Now look, since they're both over 2a, I'm just going to put it all over 2a. Now, what does this b become? Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And there is the quadratic formula. Okay? How'd they get it? They completed the square. Okay? They just completed the square. So let me tell you how I'm going to grade it. It has 6 lines, and each line is worth 8 points. So this line's worth 8 points. This line's worth 8 points. This one's worth 8 points, but I'm also counting that for 2 points. So if you don't show me that work right there, I'll take your 2 points away. This line's worth 8 points. This line's worth 8 points. And this line's worth 8 points. Now, let me show you some careless mistakes that I see every year and what they'll cost you. You see this radical right here? If you don't bring that radical all the way down, I'm going to take 3 points off your paper. You think 3 points is not that bad, but 3 points is really 6 points because it's a 50-point test. See what I'm saying? If you do not extend this line all the way out, you will lose another 3 points. Those are just a couple of sloppy things that I see kids do that cost you points. Anybody got a question? This is your, now, does this have anything to do with your test tomorrow? No. This is next Tuesday. Okay? Next Tuesday. So look, people, you're getting like 7 days to do it. If you don't understand what's going on, take a day and memorize one. Okay? Whatever you need to do. But you got an opportunity here to make a 50 out of 50. And that can do a lot for a grade that might not be good.
So when you draw the line all over the you want to do it this with that part or like if that's the only part that you'll take off if we don't long line.
Well, yeah, because see right here, there's nothing else over there. Okay? All right, anybody got a question? All right, so how to derive the quadratic formula. Now, what I want to do is I want to work a couple of problems. We're just going to work 2 problems, okay? Just 2 problems, and then we'll stop. So, is any of this that we're fixing to do going to be on your test tomorrow? No. This is 4.8, and the section is the quadratic formula, okay? You know what's really cool is that if you don't remember the quadratic formula, you can always derive it. Might take you a little while, but still. All right, so now let me tell you what's going to happen too. I'm going to finish teaching this section on Friday, and then Monday when you come to class, I'm going to give you a worksheet. I'm going to have 8 problems on it. You can work with a partner. I'll give you 3 days in class to work these 8 problems. And you're like, whoa, man, they're not extremely hard, but each problem has like 15 answers to it. Okay? Yeah, it's kind of like a lot of stuff like that. Except that a lot of the questions are really fast and answered. I'm going to work the first one with you to show you exactly what I expect. Okay? Now, here's what will cost you. The whole purpose of this worksheet is so that you understand the connections between sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can't do the worksheet till after section 8. But after section 8, I want to connect all those things together. I want you to see the importance of how one relates to another. So here's what I do not want to happen. Allison's my partner. And I say, hey, Allison, you do number 2 and I'm going to do number 1. You do number 4 and I'll do number 3. I lost my brain. You do number 4 and I'll do number 3. That's not what I want to happen. If that happens and I catch you doing it, I'm taking 10 points off your paper. It's a double daily grade. Okay? So that's not what I want. I want Allison and I working every problem together, looking at the stuff and making sure it's right. Does everybody understand? Okay. All right. So let's work a problem. There's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to talk about in this section. So here's the first problem we're going to work. X squared plus 3x equals 2. And they're going to ask me to solve using the quadratic formula. Okay? Now, in order to use the quadratic formula, what does this have to look like? No, that is the quadratic formula. But in order to use the quadratic formula, what does this equation have to be equal to? 0. Yeah, you got to have everything on one side and 0 on the other side. Okay? Remember how we talked about, we said it was going to look like this? ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That's the kind of form it has to be in. So what do I need to do over here? Okay, so x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. All right. Next thing I would do is I'd go and list. What's A? 1. What's B? What's C? -2. All right. The next thing I do is if I didn't know the quadratic formula, the first 5 times I used it, I just write it out. Okay? So that I got to use it. Some of you have to write it out 10 times before you learn it. Okay? Some of you only need it 5 times. Some of you don't need it at all because you already know it. But if you don't know it, people, you need to write it out and practice it. So, x is equal to, there was a negative boy who was kind of iffy. He went to a radical party where there was square dancing, and he missed out on 4 awesome chicks. And it was all over at 2 a.m. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is plug my stuff in. X is equal to -b. Well, if b is 3, what's the opposite of 3? Yeah, -3. Plus or minus the square root of. Now this is b squared. What kind of number will it always be? A positive number. So I wouldn't even care what his sign was here. I just drop it because it's not going to make any difference. Okay? But it's 3 squared minus 4 times a is 1 and C is negative 2. All over 2 times 1. Now I'm going to go out here to the side, and I'm just going to do a little chicken scratch. I'm just going to figure out what is this under the radical. I don't need a calculator, okay? So what is 3 squared? 9. What did 2 negatives make when you're multiplying? A positive. Do I care about the 1? No, he's not going to change anything. What's 4 times 2? 8. What's 9 and 8? So what this looks like is x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 17, all over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so these are my answers, right? I'm going to kind of separate them for a second. I'm going to write it as negative 3 plus the square root of 17 over 2. If you put that in your calculator and you figured it all out, you would figure this to be about 0.56. Okay? Now, I'm going to do the other one. Negative 3 minus the square root of 17 over 2. And he's going to be negative 3.56. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to look at what does this look like as a parabola. Okay? I know what these two things are. What are they? Very good. They are my x-intercept. Okay? So I'm going to graph it. We're going to see how much you remember. All right, so one x-intercept is 0.56. That's a little more than half. The other one is negative 3.56. So I'll go negative 1, 2, 3, and a little more than half. Now, which way does my parabola open? Think before you speak. Which way does he open? He opens up. How do y'all know he opened up? That's exactly right. Y'all look, A is a positive number. Remember when we did that? That's section 4.1. Okay? That's the kind of stuff on this worksheet that I'm going to make you do that you're going to have to go back and start remembering. Okay? So, A is positive, so he opens up. Could I find his vertex? What would I need to do to this? It's right here. I could do that, and I'm going to say this, that normally I might think about doing that, but because that 3 is not divisible by 2, my brain goes, I don't really do that because it's a fraction. Okay? What about this? Does anybody remember this? The x-coordinate, or h, of the vertex is negative b over 2a. Y'all remember that? Well, that was way before Christmas. We're supposed to remember that? Yes, you are, people. You are. So, negative 3. Are you with me? Over 2 times. What's A? So, that's negative 3 halves. That's negative 1 1/2. Negative 1 1/2. That's my vertex. Right? And then what do I have to do with that number? You got to plug it in. Plug it in right here. You got to figure out what y is. It's going to be down here somewhere. Okay? So my parabola is going to look, something like this right here. Look how many times it crosses the x-axis. Wonder if I could factor that thing. You think it's going to factor? This is all the things that I'm going to teach you how to look at in tails. Okay? Let's see. X squared plus 3x minus 2. Let's see if he'll factor. X squared factors into x times x. What's the minus sign at the end mean? Yeah, plus and minus. What are the factors of 2 that subtract to be 3? Yeah. There are no factors. Y'all, the only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Do they subtract to be 3? That thing won't factor. Look at that number under that radical. It has a name. It's called the discriminant. We're going to talk about it right. Okay? It's called the discriminant. All right, let's do one more. Nope. Not right now. You will on that worksheet. Sure will. All right, let's do example 2. Okay, example 2 looks like this. 25x squared minus 18x equals 12x minus 9. All right, what's the first thing we're going to do? Yeah, put everything on the left. So I'm going to subtract 12x and add 9. So minus 12x and add 9. I got to make it equal 0. Over here I got 25x squared. What's a negative 18x and a negative 12x? Okay, so I got a negative 30x and then plus 9. Now I'm going to stop and I'm going to write down what everybody is. Okay, what's A? 25. What's B? Negative 30. Very good. What's C? 9. Okay, now we're going to write the quadratic formula. X is equal to, you tell me the story. Oh, I cannot remember that. I had to say, oh my word, my PM will flirt. Very good. Very good. Even though I couldn't catch up. So, alright, so there it is right there. I'm going to start plugging my stuff in. X is equal to negative B. If B is negative 30, what's the opposite of that? Positive 30. Plus or minus the square root of. I don't care about the sign right here, guys. When I square it, it's going to be positive. So I'm going to say 30 squared minus 4 times 25 times 9. Now here's where some people get really scared, but y'all, we're not even going to need a calculator. Over 2 times 25. Now we're going to go out here and do a little chicken scratch. What's 30 squared? Yeah, 3 squared is 9, and then how many zeros we have? 2. 1 for each 30, okay? Minus, y'all, what's 4 quarters? $1. What's 4 times 25? 100. What's 100 times 9? 900. Oh, man, how lucky can you get? So x is equal to 30 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 50. 2 times 25 is 50. Now, what's 30 plus the square root of 0? 30. What's 30 minus the square root of 0? 30. So, y'all, do you agree the answer is just 30 over 50, which reduces down to what? 3/5. Uh-oh. We got a problem. Because this is a quadratic equation, and it has 2 answers. And mine only has 1 answer. Anybody remember? That's the vertex. Brenda said that's the vertex. That is correct. That is the vertex. The only place this parabola will intersect the x-axis will be at 3/5, and it will be his vertex. That's the only way he can intersect it one time. Now, does anybody remember what this is called? Nobody. The last 2 classes, nobody has remembered. Okay? So, nobody remembers? Doctor, a double root. Cameron said double root. Very good. This is a double root. So, watch what's going to happen when we graph this thing. Where is the only place that this thing's going to cross the x-axis? At 3/5. So I'm going to plot that little 3/5, which is a little more than a half. So I'm going to call him right here. That's my 3/5. That's my root, my solution, my x-intercept, my 0, my answer, my double root. Okay, that's what that DR stands for. It's a parabola. Does it open up or down? Up. Is it, what's that 25 make it? Very good. Just a little narrower. Ooh, y'all, I mean, you probably have to mess with the windows on a calculator not to make it just go, it looks like a line. Okay? So, it's very, very narrow. Alright? Very, very narrow. Wonder if you could factor that thing. 25x squared minus 30x plus 9. Wonder if I could factor that. You can? I'm going to tell you, not only can you, you ought to be able to do it in 5 seconds. Because it's special. What's this the perfect square of? What's this the perfect square of? Is that twice their product? So that means it's a perfect square trinomial. And what does it factor into? Square root of the first. Keep the sign. The square root of the last. That's 3. Quantity squared. Now, you see that double root now? There it is. 3/5 comes from this one, and then there's another one because it's squared. So it does have 2 roots. They're just the same thing. 3/5 and 3/5. Okay? Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. Look at that discriminant. He zeros. He factors. His vertex is on there. He's got a double root. We're going to make a chart that has all this stuff. Okay? What your discriminant is going to tell you about your stuff. Anybody got a question? Okay, we're not going to work the last one. We're going to save it. And,